It's Tuesday, September 24th. The word for you today. Question is, what kind of neighbor are you? Well, the guy down the street. No, not him. What kind of neighbor are you? Jesus was walking along and an expert in the law came up to him and asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus then told him a parable about a man going from Jerusalem to Jericho, and robbers fell on him and he was beaten and he was lying almost dead alongside the road. A priest passed by him and just went on by. A Levite passed by him, went on by. Then a Samaritan, a lowly, despised Samaritan by the Jews. See, the Jews, the priest is a good guy. The Levite is a good guy. But the Samaritan, no, they would call them dogs. They were worthless. But each of those passed by, but the Samaritan is the one that stopped and helped the man. And he was the least likely one. And so then Jesus turned to the expert in the law and says, "No, which of the three was a neighbor to the man who was beaten?" Well, the expert in the law didn't say Samaritan. He couldn't say the word. He said, "Well, I suppose the one who helped him." Jesus says, "You're right." And he says, "Go and do likewise." See, the Samaritan was coming to Jesus and asking, "Who is my neighbor?" based on that person. Jesus flipped it around. Said, "Who is my neighbor?" is based on me. My neighbor could be someone I've never met before that I run into at the store. My neighbor could be the person with the flat tire alongside the road. Neighbor could be the person who needs some help financially or needs some help with directions or whatever it might be. See, who is my neighbor has a lot more to do with me than it does the person. When I have the ability to help, will I? So it says a lot more. My neighbor says a lot more about me than it does them. Now, what kind of neighbor are you? Are you like the priest and the Levite? Think about them for a moment. They may have been afraid that the robbers were still around and they would jump on them if they stopped to help. They may have not wanted to take the time. You ever been in a hurry and you see somebody who needs help, but you don't have time? Maybe they didn't want the expense of caring for him. Maybe they figured the man did something, he deserved it. See, each of those reasons come from a selfish point of view. How about the Samaritan? Are you more like the priest and the Levite or more like the Samaritan? The Samaritan saw a need and he met it. He helped the man at the risk of being hurt himself. And then he helped him even at cost financially. Those reasons were very unselfish. So the question for you and me is, what kind of neighbor are we? And it has to do with us, whether we take the time. At churches, a lot of times we have the classes on how to pray, how to do this, how to do that. I don't know that we need so many classes. We just need to do it. D.L. Moody was attending a convention in Indianapolis on mass evangelism. He was a guest speaker. And he asked his song leader, went with him, Ira Sankey, to meet him at 6 o'clock one evening on a street corner of Indianapolis. And so they met, and he asked Ira Sankey to stand up on this box and then start singing. As he sang, people started gathering around to listen. Pretty soon there was a large crowd, and D.L. Moody thanked Ira for singing, and he spoke to the people and invited them to go down the street to the convention hall where he was going to be speaking. And a whole bunch of people went down there, and before you know it, the place was full. And he spoke to them, and he gave them the gospel message of Jesus Christ. And then he came to an end, and about that time, those who were coming to the conventions arrived and started coming in. He says, "Okay, now you're going to have to leave because the people who want to know how to reach people are coming in." He gave a perfect example of how to do it. You don't meet and discuss strategies. You just do it. You just do it. You'll be a neighbor to somebody. Just do it. See what is needed and do it. You see somebody that's in a bind and they need help. Just help them. See somebody trip and fall and they drop a bunch of things. Do you walk on by or do you help them pick things up? Yes, we have to be careful in this day. Especially ladies have to be careful. But what kind of neighbor we are has a lot more to say about us than it does the other person. So the question is, what kind of neighbor are you? Have a good day.